JRPGs have already had a pretty stellar 2019 thus far, and the train continues to roll on until the end of 2019 because there are a slew of new JRPGs coming out from new games, new collections, remasters of old classics, whatever the case may be. There are a lot of interesting titles coming out, and in today's video, we want to highlight the top 15 JRPGs for the rest of 2019. Now, this includes games on PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. Some of these games are also coming to PC, but for the most part, they are on PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. I will be going over platforms, so it'll make it a little bit easier for you guys, but without further ado, let's get right into it. Kicking things off, I want to start with Code Vein, and this is a game that I've been waiting on for quite a while. It was originally supposed to be released last year. Unfortunately, it saw an unforeseen delay, but now it'll finally be coming out on September 27th, and this is a game that's incredibly exciting. It's coming from Bandai Namco's first-party studios, and there's a lot of resemblance to the Souls titles. However, this definitely has a more anime-centric look to it, and that look is going to be catered towards some players. Other players might be a little bit off-put by it, but you're watching a JRPG video, so I think you're going to be fine with it. The game notes, in the face of certain death, we rise. In a not-too-distant future, a mysterious disaster has brought collapse to the world as we know it. Towering skyscrapers, once symbols of prosperity, are now lifeless graves of humanity's past, pierced by the thorns of judgment. Yes, as far as JRPG stories go, this is about in line with everything else, but nonetheless, Code Vein looks to be a pretty good game, and I'm excited to see how it turns out. A little bit skeptical after it got such a lengthy delay, but I'm hoping that just ended up making the game a lot better than it was going to be last year. But a little bit of skepticism has to be there. Code Vein drops on PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One on September 27th. Next up, we have Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. This is coming to PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, PC, and Xbox One on September 3rd. And how about this for an interesting release? I don't really know how to take to it. Rather, I don't know how fans are going to take to it. I myself enjoyed Final Fantasy VIII, but there is no question that this is one of the more controversial Final Fantasy titles. Some people liked it, other people not so much, and they see this as one of the worst Final Fantasy titles. However, if you look at the reception of some of the more recent Final Fantasy games, honestly, Final Fantasy VIII looks a lot better. So I think time has actually helped out Final Fantasy VIII quite a bit. Again, I enjoyed the game from the get-go. Was it perfect? No. Was it as good as FF7 or FF9? No. But it was a good JRPG in its own right, and I'm excited to give it another whirl when it comes out on September 3rd. Alright, next up, how about a free JRPG? Caravan Stories will finally be hitting the PlayStation 4 on September 10th. Yes, this is a game that we were supposed to get quite a while ago over the summer. Unfortunately, it saw an unforeseen delay, and now it'll be coming out on September 10th. I'm not completely sold on the game, but I don't really have to be sold on the game considering that it is a free-to-play title. It's gonna get some of my time. I think the art style is really good. I think the gameplay leaves some stuff to be desired, but nonetheless, we'll see how the game turns out come September 10th. Next up, here's a remaster that I'm incredibly excited for. Ninokuni 1 is coming back with Ninokuni Wrath of the White Witch Remastered. This will be coming to PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC on September 20th. Now, why am I so excited for this? Well, it's because Ninokuni 1 was arguably the best JRPG of last generation. No hyperbole. I know the competition for JRPGs wasn't as strong last gen versus this gen, but Ninokuni was a game that really stood above everything else with its phenomenal visuals, great story, solid gameplay. It really had every element that you could want out of a quality Japanese RPG, and now it's coming back. It'll look even better on PlayStation 4. On the Nintendo Switch, you're essentially getting the initial version, but nonetheless having that version on the go, that is fantastic. And I'm happy that we're going to be able to give Ninokuni 1 another look, because this was one of those titles that went a little bit underrated last generation, but with the release of Ninokuni 2, it seems like Ninokuni, the IP, just has a little bit more attention surrounding it, and hopefully this does pretty well from a commercial standpoint when it drops September 20th. Alright, next up, here's a very exciting port for the Nintendo Switch, Dragon Quest XI S Echoes of an Elusive Age. That'll be dropping September 27th. Of course, this game has been out on PC and PlayStation 4 for almost a year at this point. Dragon Quest XI was, however, a fantastic traditional JRPG. Unlike Square Enix's other major JRPG franchise in Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest really sticks to its roots in being a traditional turn-based JRPG. You just don't see a lot of those these days, especially with high production values, but that's exactly what Dragon Quest XI offers. It has a charming cast of characters, it has an engaging story, a lot of the characters are really well fleshed out, and now you're going to to be able to take it with you on the go on the Nintendo Switch, definitely do give this a look when it drops September 27th. Next up, we have a JRPG that I've just been talking so much about, and that is the Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3. That'll be coming October 22nd, and obviously this is the third title in the Trails of Cold Steel series, and you really want to play the other two games before you jump into this one, and you want to play them sequentially. Play Trails of Cold Steel 1, then 2, and then 3. The strength of these games, a large portion of it comes from the excellent storytelling and character development, and of course, if you jump into Trails of Cold Steel 3, that is going to be mostly lost on you. You want to go through that character development, you want to go through that story arc, because there are some incredible moments in the game, and while Game 1 does start a little bit slowly, it picks up by the end, and Game 2 is fast-paced the whole way through, and now we have Game 3 coming to the PlayStation 4 come October 22nd. That is incredibly exciting. Unfortunately, it hasn't been detailed for any other franchise. I think this is a series that would do really well on Nintendo Switch. It's already made an impact on PC, however, the third game is a PS4 exclusive at this point, and it is due out on October 22nd. Alright, next up we have the Alliance Alive HD Remastered. This was a more niche JRPG on the Nintendo 3DS, and now it's making the transition to all of the other platforms. It notes Rise Up and Ignite the Resistance in the Alliance Alive HD Remastered, explore diverse realms, awaken new skills mid-battle, and forge alliances to challenge the daemons that have taken over the world. Game was received pretty well on 3DS. It's got a charming art style, a little bit of a chibi look to it. Shouldn't say a little bit, a real chibi look to it, but nonetheless, given the reception was already quite strong, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into with this one. I expect a strong release with this on PlayStation 4 as well. Next up, Digimon Stories Cyber Sleuth will be making the transition to other platforms as it's coming to Nintendo Switch and PC on October 18th, and it's actually coming with a complete edition. It'll be including both games with Cyber Sleuth and Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory. Now, these games really should be connected because there is a lot of backtracking and a lot of reused elements in these titles. I mean, that's kind of to be expected. There are reused elements with the Pokemon games as well, but I feel like it's a little bit more so with these Digimon games. They're still very good games, and if you're a fan of Digimon, you'll really enjoy it. They have quality stories, the visuals are solid, although these games did release on the PlayStation Vita as well, so just keep your expectations in line from that standpoint. But if you're a fan of Digimon, we don't see a lot of quality Digimon titles, and this one already released on PlayStation 4, it was quality. If you're into Digimon, you like turn-based JRPGs, you're gonna like this. October 18th, you get both games for $50, and I think that's a pretty decent buy given that there is a sizable amount of content out of each of them. Alright, next up we have Destiny Connect Tick-Tock Travelers. That's coming to the West this fall. And it was noted that the time travel RPG is due out for PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch on October 22nd. The game is set in the town of Clockney. It's celebrating the advent of a new millennium when time suddenly comes to halt and a horde of hostile animated machines appear. It's up to a young girl named Sherry, her friend Pegoro, and Isaac, the time-traveling robot, to unravel the mystery behind the strange events. Together, they'll revisit the past and peer into the future, learning some very interesting things about their families and their peculiar town. A lot of interesting elements out of this game from a storytelling standpoint. The fundamentals are already pretty interesting, and it's got a very unique art style, although from a personal standpoint, I'll say that it's really not up my alley, but it's unique in the same sense, so I have to give them credit for that, and we'll see how Destiny Connect turns out as it's dropping on October 22nd. Next up, we have Dust Diver. This is a game coming from JFI Games, and it's already in early access on PC, and it's been received very well over there with a very positive reception, only based on 118 Steam user reviews, but that's still a decent sample size, and it seems like numerous people did enjoy the game. It's a beat-em-up action-adventure JRPG. Doesn't seem like it has a ton of depth to the gameplay, but at the same time it has a great visual style. We'll see how this one turns out as it is hitting PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch on October 24th. Next up, the Atelier franchise is coming back in a big way with the release of Atelier Ryza, Ever Darkness, and The Secret Hideout. Now, this is a pretty major release. Atelier is a franchise that's been out for a very long time. However, this is looking to take the series to the next level with a new visual style, revamped gameplay, and seemingly a much bigger budget. Atelier's been around for a long time. Again, I found the games rather good, but I feel like if it wanted to expand, if it wanted to grow, it needs a little bit of an overhaul. And while it's not definitely being completely redone, it is introducing a lot of new elements that I hope makes the game engaging to a wider audience. We'll see how it turns out. Again, it hits PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch on October 29th. Next up, we have the latest Pokemon games in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. Those will, of course, be exclusive to the Nintendo Switch, and that'll be coming November 15th. It's Pokemon. At this point, you either know if you like Pokemon or you don't like Pokemon. In the case of Sword and Shield with it being on the Nintendo Switch. Graphically, it is seeing a little bit of a leap, but it's not like from a visual standpoint, it's among the top best looking Nintendo Switch titles still. I don't think anyone's going into a Pokemon game for quality visuals. What you are going into it for is quality collection of Pokemon, a decent story, and that traditional Pokemon gameplay you know and love, and it's gonna have ample amounts of that. Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield will be coming November 15th. Next up, another title I'm excited for, Disgaea 4 Complete Plus will be hitting PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch sometime in the fall of the year, no official release date. Disgaea 4 is a great game. If you haven't tried out the Disgaea games yet and you're a fan of Tactics JRPG, you should definitely give it a look. These games have a lot of investment attached to them. You can play these games for north of 100 hours, so much leveling to be done. Now, it should be noted that visually, these games are definitely not standouts. They've never really evolved from a visual standpoint. However, from a gameplay standpoint, incredibly strong. From a content standpoint, a lot of content, and you'll definitely get your money's worth, especially with the Complete Plus edition with additional content that'll be coming fall 2019. Next up, we have Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered, which will be coming to every major platform sometime in 2019. Crystal Chronicles, I thought, was a pretty decent little game. It originally released back on the GameCube. Not much fanfare to its original release, but it was received rather well, and it's a charming experience that I'm excited to see make the way onto the PlayStation 4 and all of the current gen platforms. Now, is it the traditional Final Fantasy game, the big budget Final Fantasy game that you probably want instead? No, you'll get that with the Final Fantasy VII Remake in March of next year. For now, if you want a Final Fantasy experience to hold you over, Crystal Chronicles Remastered isn't going to be a bad one. And lastly, Rune Factory 4 is making the transition to the Nintendo Switch, and that'll be coming sometime later this year as well. Of course, this sees a lot of resemblance to a game like Harvest Moon, also has its own unique elements, features a lot of the elements common to previous games in the series as well, including farming, dungeon exploring, and marriage. All of that is in the game. You've got crafting, and that's a big element as well. If you want the Harvest Moon style of experience, if you want a game that's always replayable, I feel like Rune Factory is exactly that, and seeing it hit the Nintendo Switch is going to be pretty cool. It comes later this year. And that's going to conclude this video. Again, if you're a fan of JRPGs and you have a Nintendo Switch and a PlayStation 4, you really will want to have both platforms, as there are some games exclusive to each platform. For example, you can't get Code Vein on the Nintendo Switch. Yes, it's going to be on X1 on PC, but if you just have a Nintendo Switch, you can't play a game like that. You can't play a game like Caravan Stories, but you can play games like Pokemon Sword and Shield. You can play games like Rune Factory 4 Special, so there's reason to have both platforms, and they really make the JRPG experience the best possible. That's gonna conclude this video. Definitely sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Which JRPGs for the rest of the year are you the most excited for? Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.